Man, one thing about it, U.S. don't play no games, man. When it comes to doing killings or pulling up and spinning, any of that, the U.S. do not play games. And Israel definitely had a part in this as well, considering that Iran and many other Middle Eastern countries are against Israel right now. Maybe for good reason. You know what I'm saying? That's up to y'all to decide. But we're gonna go ahead and watch this video. I kind of started watching a little bit, and it's pretty intense considering how the U.S. intelligence operates. And when it comes to that type of intelligence, very, very advanced, obviously, because they're able to track down and annihilate targets with high efficiency and even bypass defenses that are meant to stop things like this. But hey, man, I guess the U.S. just has the upper hand. We're starting to see that more and more. You got Venezuela, got Maduro out of there. You know what I'm saying? Now he's targeting Greenland. You know what I'm saying? So now we got this going on with Iran and the support of Ukraine. So there's a lot of different things boiling. And of course, you got, of course, like I said, Ukraine and Russia, Putin's trying to get Ukraine, trying to get Ukraine, right? So then you got China going for Taiwan. So there's a lot going on in the world when it comes to territory and I guess you could say the restructuring of the New World Order that is basically getting led by the USA. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, she's got some breaking news to add to what we are learning right now about this operation. Jennifer.
Sandra, I just spoke with a senior U.S. official that confirmed to Fox that the U.S. does believe that Ali Khamenei, the Ayatollah, was killed along with 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders in that initial Israeli strike on his compound earlier today that launched this day of strikes, the last 12 hours. They agree with Israel's intelligence assessment. But what is most interesting to me is that the multiple sources have told me that the strike had to be moved up based on intelligence and this so-called target of opportunity. There was a deliberate decision to accelerate the timeline and to strike during the daytime, which is extremely unusual. Usually the U.S. would not strike during the daytime, but they wanted to catch the senior leadership off guard. It was a Saturday morning during Ramadan, and it was also Shabbat during the day.
That's the part that really surprised me, is the fact that she said that the U.S. normally doesn't attack during the daytime, but for this specific operation, they decided to accelerate the whole entire mission just because they wanted to get them on Ramadan, it sounds like Saturday morning when they're praying or doing Shabbat, like she said. Like they literally accelerated the hit, in my opinion, is because they wanted to catch them while they were praying. And the fact of the matter is, when Muslims pray, they are completely locked in. Like they're completely locked in, saying um they say the same thing 5 times a day in prayer, and said they repeat it. And when they say they're locked in, and I know this because I went to a halal spot to pick up some food. It wasn't for me though, but I picked up some food, and there was 2 gentlemen in the front just praying. 2 younger gentlemen, one melanated brother, the other one was like a Middle Eastern man, probably around my age. But yeah, man, they was locked in. Like when I walked in, their backs were facing me, and they didn't really even see me walk in. And they're literally in the front of the restaurant at by the cash register doing it. And my thing is, I'm like, wow, why couldn't y'all do it in the back and just have somebody that's not praying or like somebody that's available up front? Because the guy, another kid, he looked like Rakai. He came out looking like a taller version of Rakai, and I'm like, he's not praying. He was back there on his phone, but these guys up in the front praying. It's like they're trying to boast or show off. And my thing is like, if you want to have a relationship with God, I feel like that should be more private and intimate because God, He knows what you're doing. He sees you. Like you don't have to try to do it in front of everybody, trying to get approval from men or trying to,
and that's when Israel.
But yeah, either way it goes though, I'm gonna go ahead and play the video. Accidentally just played it. But yeah, this is on Ramadan, Saturday morning, y'all. They caught him on Ramadan. That's pretty wild.
Took the opportunity and dropped those 30 bombs on the compound, and the U.S. simultaneously launched strikes against all of the military targets that then we've seen the results of today. I've also learned that the U.S. alone, the U.S. military alone, has carried out nearly 900 strikes in the last airstrikes in the last 12 hours. That is an incredibly high number of strikes in the first 12 hours of this operation, Sandra.
Hey, Jen, it's John here. So the one thing that...
See, they're not playing, y'all. Like, this is war. When it comes to war nowadays, if you notice, it's not a lot about combat on the ground. Like, do you see this on the screen? This is a picture from the air. And what you see there is like a sniper, like a little sniper target thing. This is shooting people. But now with the bullets, y'all, we talking major explosives, missiles. And over 30 missiles have been fired, y'all. So, you know, that's why the U.S. spends some money on defense. It's because stuff like this, they're ready to go to war. And if you really look at it, the war shouldn't be like this. Everybody knows it. Everybody with a spirit that's conscious, they know this isn't supposed to be like this. But we're not making the rules. We're not making the calls. Nobody is voting on this type of stuff. This is just stuff that happens at the very top.
We sometimes neglect to mention is that, you know, one of the big reasons why Midnight Hammer and the 12-Day War were so successful was because Israel had Mossad agents on the ground who were directing activities for the aircraft that were overhead. Do we have any idea? And one of the other things about the 12-Day War that was so brilliant on the part of the Israelis is they managed to attract, to bring together top members of the IRGC leadership, and then they eliminated them. Do we know what the Mossad's potential role was here in making sure that they had everybody in the right place at the right time to launch this strike?
I think it's safe to assume, John, that this was an intelligence-driven operation, and the people who have the best intelligence in that region tend to be Mossad. If you look at what happened last...
So the Mossad agents is basically the Israeli CIA agents. You know what I'm saying? Just like we have the CIA in America, you got Israel, they got the Mossad. So the Mossad helped track all this down. So that being said, all the leaders shouldn't have been in the same place, to be honest. Like, this is why they accelerated it, because they wanted to catch everybody at the same spot.
Summer in terms of Lebanon and the drawing together of those leaders as well, taking out and decapitating Hezbollah. This is a style of attack and strike and intelligence that really only the Israelis are capable of. And so I think it makes sense that it was their warplanes that struck the compound. But I found it very interesting that the U.S. Had to agree to move up the timeline based on this target of opportunity, and that senior officials both in Israel as well as in the United States believe that 5 to 10 top Iranian leaders were killed in that strike, including the IRGC commander killed alongside Ali Khamenei.
Jen, if you could you also give us any further details that we have learned about attacks on U.S. military bases in the Middle East? What do we know at this point?
Well, we know that there have been at least 300 missiles fired by Iran today. Some of them have been missiles, some drones targeting various U.S.
300 missiles? I'm sure a lot of those missiles were intercepted, like probably 95% or more. But wow.
military bases. A lot of people may not realize that the U.S. has bases in almost every Gulf country. So from Oman to Kuwait to UAE to Qatar, as well as in Saudi Arabia. In fact, I've just received word from a very senior
Yes, I can hear you,
military source that the U.S. base, the Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, is currently under attack by Iranian ballistic missiles, and that the Saudis are currently shooting down those missiles. But this is a big escalation, and we reported earlier today how significant it was that the Saudis had decided to get off the sidelines and decide to say that they were joining in this operation against Iran once Iran fired missiles into Iranian territory, because they're also firing into some of the areas where oil production is in Saudi Arabia. So the countries like Oman, UAE, and Oman has come off the sidelines as well and is criticizing Iran for the strikes against UAE, Qatar, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia.
Right. I mean, the fact that Iran is throwing all these ballistic missiles at countries in the region, I mean, could be read as the death knell of a regime that is on its last legs. Because
it's certainly a sign of desperation, John. I think that is absolutely correct. And I just meant to mention to Sandra, you asked about the strikes on the U.S. bases. There have been no casualties. So while there has been some incoming, there have been no casualties and no real damage that has interfered with operations. So
if this is indeed Iran just kind of firing everything that it's...
So from the looks of it, it's from the looks of everything, right? Like when we really look into the situation, it's interesting because the U.S. is able to, or Israel is able to attack and not be attacked back. Like they're getting attacked back, but they're not getting any casualties. There's no damage being done. And that goes to show the defense is really what matters in these type of things. Because Iran, they sent 300 missiles, but none of it really gave us any damage. None of it caused any casualties. So that being said, allegedly you got 5 to 10 high-ranking Middle Eastern leaders in Iran. They all get taken out allegedly, right? And then 300 missiles are fired and nothing happens. I'm telling you, man, it's not fair, man. And I think a lot of people in the U.S., they got to realize that the U.S., if you look at the budget, they're spending a lot of money on the military. Like, when we really look at this thing, the U.S. is very, very, by the looks of it now, very aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Like, the U.S. and Israel, they look like they got the most power right now, it looks like things are very, very one-sided, a lot of things. So it's a lot going on. Iran and its people, they're going through a lot right now. And the people there, I pray for them that they find freedom and peace in the Most High God, because it's a lot that's going on. People are being affected. And I know that many Christians are being executed there. So in a way, this is good. And I think that maybe next stream we'll watch a video talking about more or less how the actual Iranian people are feeling. There's an influencer I follow. She is Iranian, and she's very, very actually happy that the regime is being taken down because of how they treated women, how they treated the citizens and whatnot. So, in a slaughter of Christians, obviously that's a no-go. It's evil. So that being said, this could be a good thing, but at the same time, it's a lot of bloodshed that doesn't need to happen. But at the same time, I'm saying, like, this is a warfare. This is a war that's going on, and this is what happens in war. When countries are going at it, things like this do happen. And when you're an enemy of the U.S. or Israel right now, it seems like it's bad news. And that's just the reality of the situation. But yeah, anyways, go ahead and end this stream. I'll catch you